Before we begin, I just want to wish everyone a happy new year. You know, these times have been pretty tough for a lot of people. But, I hope my content has been able to, entertain you or inform you in some way. And I just want to express how grateful I am that you've made my time in recent tough years just so much better by being here, watching my content, interacting with me, expressing your, just love and support. I say this a lot, but it really does mean more than you know, and I wish I could express that to every single one of you if I had the capability to respond to thousands of comments. But just know that I truly, really do appreciate all of you. Though the same couldn't be said about Square Enix, who kicked off 2022 by basically giving their community, the internet, gamers, a middle finger with their latest statement where they really promote their stance on taking the NFTs and metaverse aspects to the next level in 2022, believing that this is going to pave the road to the future of gaming, and it is just all as awful as it sounds. So let's take a look at this blog post, literally published on January 1st, 2022, as part of a New Year's letter from the president, and I'm going to go through this and share my thoughts with you guys. I dare you not to roll your eyes at this statement because that's going to be a tough one. So here we go. I would like to begin by wishing everyone a happy new year. Yeah, following up with what comes next is not the best way to really wish us a happy new year. To a lot of people, this feels as good as setting the tone of 2022. If this is how 2022 is going to start, I mean, God, I hope it doesn't end the same way. I hope we end on a more positive note. The metaverse was a hot topic in 2021, inspiring a lively global conversation first about what the metaverse is and then about what sort of business opportunities it presents. Business opportunities being the key words there, not how we can actually benefit the world, benefit gaming, benefit, what we do as a company, the products that we give to people, how to make people's lives better. How to enhance business opportunities. Against this backdrop, Facebook changed its name in October to Meta, serving as evidence that the concept is not a mere buzzword, but here to stay. Yeah, because Facebook sets the tone for what is a buzzword and what isn't, because following Facebook's business model is the best way you can show that you are a morally good company, because Facebook is the role model by which every company should strive to live by. If you're modeling yourself after Facebook, then you're in trouble, Square Enix. And nothing says more like we're chasing a trend than, well, Facebook did it, so I guess we gotta follow this trend too. Well, this is like saying James Cameron with Avatar. I mean, clearly he was on board with 3D for movies, so clearly it's more than just a buzzword and a gimmick. Clearly there is something there. Well, guess what? 3D died off as a trend, and just because Facebook changed their name to a trend that they want to establish for their own business intentions does not mean that it is more than just a buzzword. Obviously, companies want to make it more than a buzzword to exploit NFTs and metaverse. But as customers, we need to actually evaluate what this is going to bring to our lives. And so far, no company has been able to share a compelling reason or a compelling justification for how this stuff isn't just going to make business sense, but how it's going to make our lives better, our gaming experience better in the realm of gaming, which is where Square Enix resides. I attribute this in large part to advances in extended reality technology, the increasing prevalence of the cloud and 5G, more sophisticated blockchain technology, and other technological evolutions that have taken place in a variety of fields over the past several years. That is because these advances are giving rise to services that fall under the metaverse umbrella. Metaverse essentially being the 3D virtualization of the internet. Essentially, you get to walk around the internet. It's basically turning the internet into an MMO through which you can interact with things, but on a virtual capacity, whether it's through VR or AR, whatever it might be. Frankly, that sounds like a pain in the ass. I just want to be able to click on a bunch of stuff and just, quickly and swiftly and conveniently be able to interact with the internet that way. I don't know why I'd want to put on 3D goggles to navigate the internet, but through that is also where NFTs are trying to be sold. People are buying, I think, you can buy virtual houses on the metaverse, which you cannot do anything with, but hey, it looks like a house, so that's cool, I guess. aside from all of the other ways NFTs are being exploited, selling items in video games whose differentiators are basically a number on the helmet, or, all the ways that NFTs are being used to scam or to commit crimes, be it money laundering or stealing art and selling them as NFTs to other people. It's just paving the road for some really awful trends right now. And without companies being able to explain exactly where the benefits lie for us, for the artists and whatnot, without them being able to explain where the benefits lie outside of business-minded elements, it's all just pretty much a scam. But Square Enix insists the metaverse will likely see a meaningful transition to a business phase in 2022, with a wide range of services appearing on the scene. As this abstract concept begins to take concrete shape in the form of product and service offerings, I'm hoping that it will bring about changes that have a more substantial impact on our business as well. I love how there's zero details as to how this will take concrete shape in the form of product and service offerings. Again, they are throwing these buzzwords around, but are not providing any specifics, any examples, any real-life examples on how this will serve us. And who knows, maybe over the years we'll start seeing something along those lines, but for now it just feels like a gold rush for the sake of business exploitation, for the sake of keeping investors happy. This is very much a letter to investors. Another term that gained quick currency in 2021 was NFT, or non-fungible token. You gotta love the way this is phrased. That gained quick currency. Again, it's so monetization centric rather than actually thinking about how this will positively impact the world and the way we, consume content or whatever it might be. The advent of NFTs using blockchain technology significantly increased the liquidity of digital goods, enabling the trading of a variety of such goods at high prices and sparking conversations the world over. I see 2021 not only as a metaverse year one, but also as NFTs year one. I'm going to throw up in my mouth, given that it was a year in which NFTs were met with a great deal of enthusiasm by a rapidly expanding user base. Really, enthusiasm. Ubisoft's trailer on their Quartz NFT announcement was mass disliked, over 95%, I believe roughly 96% disliked. Enthusiasm is not the word I'd use to describe the sentiments on the internet. Every time a company announces plans for NFTs, the amount of backlash is swift and severe, and we're seeing the same for Square Enix, as you'll see in a bit. But the worst part of this is that, much like microtransactions and loot boxes, which only a minority of players really fully partake in, a minority of players being whales, and so far I don't see how any of this is any different. The rich benefiting from all of this, and meanwhile art is being degraded into essentially investments. Video games are becoming jobs, and purchasing JPEGs is becoming an economic thing you got to consider, and trying to gauge which artworks will gain all this value over the coming years through the form of NFTs. And it's about buying and trading and selling so you can make a significant profit off of trying to predict where the market is headed. That's what art is becoming. It's freaking disgusting. However, we do observe examples here and there of overheated trading in NFT-based digital goods with somewhat speculative overtones, regardless of the observed value of the content provided. This obviously is not an ideal situation, but I expect to see an eventual right-sizing in digital goods deals as they become more commonplace among the general public, with the value of each available content corrected as their true estimated worth, and I look for them to become as familiar as dealings in physical goods. What? I mean, what value are we talking about here? These digital goods cannot be used outside the platforms that they're confined in, and we cannot physically interact with them. We cannot really touch them. At least physical goods, there are practical uses for them. With art, you can decorate your actual real-life living room. And with physical goods that you purchase, you can actually use them in some practical way. Digital goods, buying a digital house, buying a digital piece of art. There's the service that you can pay for. With artists, you can actually give them money to commission art. Like, that's a good use of that money because you're paying for the talent, but paying for the actual, pixels and the specific arrangement of pixels and the metadata and the NFTs linking to that, the notion of that having value is where the hell are we descending into as a society? To address these changes in our business environment, the medium-term business strategy that we unveiled in May 2020 identified AI, the cloud, and blockchain games. Oh my God. Gaming it's headed in directions where I'm really going to start losing passion for it as new domains on which we should focus our investments, and we have subsequently been aggressive in our R&D efforts and investments in those areas. In the AI space, we established Square Enix AI and Arts Alchemy. in March 2020 to pursue development efforts in the wider field of entertainment AI rather than being constrained by traditional concepts of gaming AI. The firm's R&D efforts focus primarily on natural language processing, world models, and simulation technology. These efforts will help us develop the games that we release into the world and enhance their overall quality. Now, AI technology, I think, can pave the road to some interesting game development paradigm shifts and to some cool, interesting gameplay designs. But you combine that with their attempt to normalize building games around NFTs and integrating metaverse into that and essentially normalizing this grifting ecosystem where it'll behave as yet another form of monetization for companies to design their game around, further degrading game design that should be based around fun and not around turning them into money-milking machines. That's just going to further degrade the potential and quality of games. I mean, we're going to more and more have to start relying on indies to bring out what passion can get you out of games, the incredible experiences you can realize from this medium. Because right now, the interactive nature of video games is being exploited to a level that is just starting to get pretty ridiculous. These efforts will help us develop the games that we release into the world and enhance their overall quality, but that is not all. By incorporating the output of these R&D efforts into virtual avatars and elsewhere, we plan to apply that output to a wide variety of content and provide the relevant technology for other companies with a view to leveraging these R&D efforts across our entire digital entertainment business. We're exploring potential efforts in the cloud space from two primary perspectives. The first being leveraging cloud technologies to distribute content, and the second being developing content that offers customers new forms of excitement enabled by the cloud's attributes. Cloud has been, I think, a positive technology for gaming. I mean, cloud saving obviously is one thing, but also the way online infrastructure has been further enhanced and streamlined by cloud, like that stuff's actually beneficial, especially to online-based games. Cloud gaming has also paved the road for services like Xbox Game Pass, which is essentially Netflix of games done right, except on the side you can also play some of these games on the cloud, which adds further accessibility. So technology like this used this way obviously is a good thing, but once you bring NFTs into all of these positively affecting technologies, this one tech that, you know, companies are rushing towards to normalize metaverse and NFTs and monetizations based around that, again, that's where we start getting into trouble. And then here we have mention of blockchain games, be they single player or online games. It's not even just for online games. They're planning to implement this stuff in single player games. Leave those alone at least. But no, of course not. I mean, microtransactions, loot boxes have seeped their way into single player experiences. So of course, NFTs will try to make their way in there as well and take these story-driven experiences that are meant to be experienced a certain way and have those potentials be ruined as well. Games have traditionally involved in an undirectional flow whereby creators such as ourselves provide a game to the consumers that play them. By contrast, blockchain games, which have emerged from their infancy and are at this very moment entering a growth phase, are built upon the premise of a token economy and therefore hold the potential to enable self-sustaining game growth. The driver that most enables such self-sustaining growth is diversity, both in how people engage with interactive content like games and in their motivations for doing so. Advances in token economies will likely add further momentum to this trend of diversification. I see the oh my God, play-to-earn concept that has people so excited. As a prime example of this, who is excited about turning games into a secondary job, into investment opportunities, instead of a form of escape where we can just have fun and not worry about these real-world elements with real financial implications? I realize that some people who play to have fun, I love how this guy puts play to have fun in quotes, as if it's this crazy idea that playing and having fun are somehow connected. It's like saying, man, I know people use toilets to take shit. Strange idea, but we'll let people believe that toilets were meant for that, but whatever. Yeah, this is some outdated concept. Toilets to take a shit, playing games for fun, and who currently form the majority of players have voiced their reservations towards these trends, and understandably so. However, I believe that there will be a certain number of people whose motivation is to play to contribute, by which I mean to help make the game more exciting. You got modders for that. You've got people who are passionate about a game and a franchise who either do it for free or who even take donations, with people who are happy to donate, who more than fill that space. Traditional gaming has offered no explicit incentive to this latter group of people who are motivated strictly by such inconsistent personal feelings as goodwill and volunteer spirit. Notice how Square Enix spits in the face of terms like goodwill and volunteer spirit. Just pure passion driving the creative force of user-created content that they deem to be a negative. And this is such a corporate mindset. Goodwill and volunteer spirit have no place. It's not just about making games. There has to be a greedy intention behind that. And now they want people, like modders, content creators or user content creators to get into that mentality of don't do it out of goodwill, don't do it out of passion, don't do it out of volunteer spirit, do it because there's something to be gained from this. Do it for the money. And I'm not saying, modders don't deserve to earn money or user content creators don't deserve to earn a little something for their work. But when that becomes the main driving force rather than that spirit of goodwill, the spirit of passion, the spirit of just creation and making art and making good shit that people will enjoy and be happy about, when that's no longer the main driving force, that's when you get greedy shit that we've seen from AAA companies as of late. And now they want to turn user-generated content into that by insulting and scoffing at the very notion of goodwill and volunteer spirit being the main driving force for people who are passionate about a game franchise to make content for it. Just what a scummy mindset that definitely comes from an executive who doesn't understand where users' passions for a gamer franchise comes from. It's like they're just spitting on passion. This fact is not unrelated to the limitations of existing UGC user-generated content. UGC has been brought into being solely because of individuals' desire for self-expression and not because any explicit incentive existed to reward them for their creative efforts. Again, they want to pull away from the primary goal being self-expression. They want to pull away from what makes art so freaking wonderful, the passion, the desire to put something out there that you're proud of. They want to make it about incentives, financial incentives, NFTs, and these scams. They want to make it about scamming and not about just the joy of making something. I see this as one reason that there haven't been as many major game-changing content that were user-generated as one would expect. No, let's get one thing straight. The thing that's limiting user-generated content are the companies themselves who go after modders, who threaten them with copyright strikes and lawsuits and tell them to take their content down anytime they don't abide by their specific guidelines and rules. Modders are creating some of the most incredible content out there for free, just out of passion, and if they can make some money off of that through donations, I more than welcome that. But it's the way companies treat these people that is making them afraid to really take it to the next level. Take-Two being the primary example. Whereas if you look at, a game like Skyrim, the amount of incredible content made for that game because of how open Bethesda tends to be about modders and them establishing this trend, you can see a night and day difference between mods for that game and mods for other games where there are stricter limitations, don't offer user generation tools, and the like. What they're trying to do here is turn user-generated content into this corporate thing, drive this corporate mindset instead of making the artistic merits of an artistic piece or of a piece of content, making that the primary driver. And if there can be some business that can be done along the way that's reasonable, again, I welcome that. But when business becomes a primary mindset, when seeking an incentive becomes a primary mindset, then the content just won't be as good because it's not going to be driven by the right intentions, and that's what Square Enix is pushing for. It's freaking disgusting. However, with advances in token economies, users will be provided with explicit incentives, thereby resulting not only in greater consistency and motivation, but also creating a tangible upside to their creative efforts. I believe that this will lead to more people devoting themselves to such efforts and to greater possibilities of games growing in exciting ways. From having fun to earning to contributing, a wide variety of motivations will inspire people to engage with games and connect with one another. It is blockchain-based tokens that will enable this. The thing is, you don't need NFTs to do this stuff. Like, there are ways to do this outside of NFTs that, are serving to be environmentally harmful, that are causing chip shortages. There's already a way to just directly pay artists to make content, and doing it through NFTs, again, it's about turning these things into investments and turning games into jobs instead of turning games into something to be passionate about. By designing vehicle token economies into our games, we will enable self-sustaining game growth. It is precisely this sort of ecosystem that lies at the heart of what I refer to as decentralized gaming, and I hope that this becomes a major trend in gaming going forward. If we refer to the one-way relationship where game players and game providers are linked by games that are finished products as centralized gaming, to contrast it with decentralized gaming, then incorporating decentralized games into our portfolio in addition to centralized games will be a major strategic theme for us starting in 2022. The basic and elemental technologies to enable blockchain games already exist, and there has been an increase in the societal literacy and acceptance of crypto assets in the past few years. We'll keep a close eye on societal shifts in the space while listening to many groups of users that populate it. Well, I hope you're listening to social media and Twitter, because the backlash is pretty much overwhelmingly negative. I've seen very few, if any, who are in support of anything that's relayed in this letter, and ramp up our efforts to develop a business accordingly with an eye to potentially issuing our own tokens, oh my god, in the future. Our lifestyles have changed and we're learning to coexist with COVID-19. Against that backdrop, I believe that the new technologies and concepts that I have discussed and the changes that they bring to our business environment will provide us with numerous opportunities to enrich people's lives through digital entertainment, which is at the core of our business. This, at the same time, means that we are seeing the beginnings of further leaps forward to our business. We remain committed to creating, developing, and providing world-class content, and we will contribute to the happiness of society and its people by offering new forms of excitement. You're going to contribute to the degradation of gaming, to the degradation of the joy that people get out of gaming by normalizing this shit. And look, us enthusiasts can't really define what trends go and what trends don't. At the end of the day, the masses, the people, the average Joe who don't necessarily, talk about gaming news and look into the stuff, they're the ones who are ultimately going to define whether this stuff appeals to them or not, whether this is a trend that will continue or not. But it just feels like game companies are unified in throwing these buzzwords to these people who are less than aware of what really the intentions are behind this, and getting them into this train that's leading into what I feel is a more dystopian future than something that will pave the road to genuine convenience and genuine, services for the users and genuine enhancements to our lives that will make this a positive technology. So far, it's all just expressions of potentials that are already there with the current existing technology. As for online reaction, we're seeing people highlighting the quote where play to have fun is, put in quotes and is seen as this abnormal thing when playing, literally the purpose of playing games with toys, whatever it might be, is to have fun. And that is no longer going to be the priority, is literally what Square Enix is admitting, and a lot of people pointing that out and expressing what a shitty quote that is. Tons of people noting the irony of Final Fantasy VII about how it's about the way we damage the planet through environmentally harmful actions, especially where corporations are concerned. With quotes from Barrett, you're going to stand there and pretend you can't hear the planet crying out loud in pain. People putting out another quote, he must open his eyes to the truth that his corporate masters are profiting from the planet's pain. Pretty much what's happening. A lot of people noting the disgustingness of saying Happy New Year and then giving us some of the worst news you can start 2022 with, especially given the many beloved franchises that Square Enix publishes. We got people noting how they want to just play old games at this point because new games are degrading further and further into monetization schemes rather than games where we can really just have fun without worrying about real-life economics, just kind of escape for real. 20-year-old games really with your new PC is a peaceful life. I've seen this meme thrown around, and yeah, I kind of agree with the sentiment. More Barrett quotes. The planet is dying cloud, and these crypto fuckers are trying to get us to burn down half the rainforest for a damn JPEG. Obviously, photoshopped and edited, but sentiments that are very much shared by many people. And then a lot of people pointing out why NFTs are such a scam. And this is an apt sort of allegory and metaphor. I'll be your NFT girlfriend. You can't ever touch me or interact with me in real life, but if you pay me enough money, you can go around telling people I'm yours. That's literally what NFTs are. You can tell people that this thing belongs to you, but you can't really do anything with it. You can't prevent people from copying and pasting it and using it for their own means. It's like it's just a certificate that says you own it, but without the ability for you to actually control how this thing you supposedly own is distributed, what you can do with it, no form of truly interacting with it in tangible, real-life ways. And here is a tweet from Twitter user K, who posted this quote that really spotlights why NFTs are such a scam. When I was little, someone purchased a star for me, like a real star out somewhere in the galaxy. I had a photo of the star framed on my wall with handwritten coordinates of the star's location and a little blurb about how it belonged to me. The company that sold this to me no longer exists. And yeah, this was very much also one of those trends that everyone jumped on board because, this is what the big companies are doing, but it ended up being nothing, and Square Enix citing Facebook as an example for why the metaverse and NFTs are, the trend to chase because Facebook did it. I mean, what a crappy thing to say. Just what a crappy example to lead by and to follow. The company that sold this to me no longer exists. In fact, many companies were in this business selling stars, keeping registration of who owned that, what stars. There was no way of knowing if your star had already been sold to someone previously, no way to prevent it from being sold again, and there was no way to physically claim your property. Virtually all of those companies are now defunct, and their ledgers are buried in the sands of time. So anyway, enjoy your NFTs. That's the potential future that NFTs can pave the road for. And that's the level of ownership that you have. This thing in the distance out there in a world that you cannot interact with, selling you something that you can't really do much with, that's out there somewhere that's kind of cool. There's some bragging rights in it, I guess. But all you got is a certificate. And once that company goes defunct or a company decides to undo a platform or whatever that an NFT belongs to, what then? Nothing. You're left with a receipt to nothing. And in the case of NFTs, to zeros and ones that one day may cease to function. Just the notions behind all this are just so lacking in value and benefits. It's insane how much companies are committing to this, committing to grifting people. That's essentially what this is. And again, I'm open-minded to the idea of new technologies paving the road to conveniences and elements that can enhance our lifestyles or enhance hobbies like gaming, but nothing so far. And Square Enix committing and doubling down, tripling down to this, citing all of these awful reasons and putting playing games for fun in quotes, like that's just an antiquated concept. What does that tell you about this company's motivations, intentions? They're just chasing the trend to keep investors happy. And this is where we're headed, ladies and gentlemen. And I hope we can kill this trend before it begins. And that's why I love the amount of backlash that companies are seeing from all of this. Every time they announce something like this, people are just so unhappy. At least with 3D glasses, at least that was a cool idea that just was kind of gimmicky and didn't end up working out as much. At least I was on board for it at first before I realized, it's not all that. This is immediately like a no, let's not do this. I hope people continue speaking out. Please do not let this be normalized. Microtransactions, loot boxes. Remember when companies promised those will be used to our benefit and how that turned out? You think NFTs will prove to be any different? I can almost guarantee you that's not going to be the case. Like if there were the right intentions behind it, maybe I could, keep an open mind, but these game companies have lost all of our trust now, and there's no reason to trust them, especially with how their statements are being output, what they're saying, the vagueness behind how it will benefit us, and just the scummy way that they're using terms like play to earn and play to contribute, and them citing how just playing for fun, like that's just, the way they're citing that as an antiquated concept just tells me that they're losing sight of what video games are all about. It's about escaping and having fun and immersing yourself in another world with other characters and stories to enrich your life. It's like that is no longer relevant. It's now about investments and monetization and trying to make money off of frickin' games and seeping real-life economic bullshit into our games now. This is not the future that I want, ladies and gentlemen, and I hope you'll agree with me, and I hope you'll continue to call this crap out. Way to kick off the new year, Square Enix, in the worst possible way. Like, this is literally what I woke up to. I opened my eyes, I logged into Twitter, and it was the first thing that I saw, and I'm like, well, I guess this might set the tone of what 2022 holds for gaming and its future. But, there are other avenues where hopefully 2022 will be an improvement over the last 2 years, and I hope I can continue to provide you with entertainment that does not involve NFTs and grifting you in any way, shape, or form. But yeah, I'm sorry, I've really gone on a rant here, but I am so frustrated by the way, the direction in which the games industry is shifting in. But this is one man's take. Let me know in the comments below what your thoughts and opinions are on Square Enix's statement, how you think NFTs will influence, and blockchain technology and metaverse, how you think that will influence the future of gaming. Do you think this can be stopped, or is it a too little too late gold rush trend that will just pave the road to an awful future? Do you think there's hope for this stuff to be quelched and for gaming to stay relevant as a form of fun, immersive, and enriching escapism. Share your thoughts in the comments below, and to be further updated on all things gaming news, reviews, and discussions, stay tuned right here on Young Yeah. I'll see you guys next time. Young out.